Indonesia is located in Southeast Asia. Bali is in western Indonesia and is highlighted on the map. Ubud is located in southern Bali and is also highlighted on the map. Indonesia is home to the world's largest Muslim population. They gained independence from the Netherlands in 1949. It is respectively the fourth most populous country in the world with a population of 248 million in comparison to the United States with a population of around 313 million. It is made up of a series of islands, also known as an archipelago. Indonesia is the largest archipelago in the world to form a single state. It consists of 5 main islands with another 30 smaller archipelagos that put the island count at around 18,000. The national language is Bahasa Indonesian. However, there are hundreds of different dialects that are spoken throughout the islands. The GDP of Indonesia is 1.125 trillion purchasing power parity. In comparison, the United States is 15 trillion purchasing power parity. Indonesia is ranked 16th in the world per capita GDP with 4,700 compared to the United States, which has 48,300. The unemployment rate in Indonesia is 9%. In 2007, Oded Karmi established an organic rice farm and restaurant on the island of Bali in Indonesia. In 1997, Karmi had been offered a piece of land in Indonesia free of charge by one of his Balinese friends. After acquiring this piece of land, he began to travel to Ubud, the town in Bali in which the land was located, and immersed himself in the Balinese culture and way of life. He specifically took interest in the farming of organic fruits and vegetables, and later on, the organic farming of rice. It was at this point that Karmi began to realize that he wanted to help his surrounding community and see the farmers grow organic rice, and during crop rotation, use the fallow land to grow vegetables and fruits, and perhaps even rear farm animals, thus providing a wholesome diet and sustainable source of income. 2 years after Karmi acquired his land in Ubud, his first wife died, leaving their 18-month-old son in his care. It was then that Karmi decided to move to Bali permanently, and sold his apartments in New York. Following the move from New York to Bali, Karmi began to establish non-government organizations with all different specializations to help people of Indonesia and enhance their quality of life. Karmi was passionate about helping the people in his community and began to look into the re-establishment of organic rice farming to help mobilize the community and eventually spread the initiative to all of Bali and later on all of Indonesia. He did not want to leave the issues of the community in the hands of the government or businesses, and so he decided to engage the local community through its religious and social leadership to take on the initiative of improving its own social and economic welfare. After an ultimatum from the wife of the landowner who had given Karmi the land for free, he decided to buy the land and begin to establish the Sari Organic Farm. Early on, Karmi noticed that he was producing far more vegetables and rice than he could sell and decided to open Bodog Malia, a restaurant that served food made from Sari Organic's farm. Both Sari Organic and Bodog Malia were officially established in December of 2007. After the establishment of the farm and restaurant, Karmi knew he had a challenge ahead of him due to the fact that the process of organic rice farming was much more difficult than that of regular rice farming. This meant prices would be slightly higher. Knowing this, he wanted to keep prices as low as possible and still be able to pay farmers double the industry average. This plan affected Karmi in that he broke even with his finances almost every month, never turning a profit. Sari Organic had a few goals that they wanted to focus on when first starting their business. Karmi wanted to re-establish the severed connection between consumers and farmers, which she believed had been endangered by the rise of multinational corporations. This had caused an issue between food processing systems and farming, as well as posing a giant threat to small-scale organic farmers. Another goal Sari Organic had was to process their food in a transparent manner, or closer to the consumer. In order to make sure this happened, they eliminated the use of the middleman, such as the retailer, and sold directly to the customer. These are just a few goals Karmi wanted to accomplish in order to fulfill his promise to enhance the quality of life of the people of his community in Ubud and later on in all of Indonesia.
From a macro perspective, Indonesia is currently the 16th largest economy in the world according to CNBC. A new McKinsey report expects it will be the seventh largest economy by 2030. It currently has a GDP of $850 billion, which is tiny in comparison to the US's $15 trillion. From the 1960s to 1985, Indonesia launched the Green Revolution, where a grain-rice hybrid was created by the Indonesian government with the help of the World Bank. This would produce a higher yield and increase the productivity of farmers. Unfortunately, after some time, it created major agricultural problems which had a huge negative impact not only on the economy, but also the citizens of Indonesia, and most importantly in this case, the rice supply. This led to the need for the country to import rice through multinational corporations. Posing a major threat to the organic rice farmers, multinationals are able to offer far greater discounted pricing than they simply ever could. After the disastrous outcome of the Green Revolution, the government became supportive of organic rice initiatives as seen through the Go Organic campaign created in 2001. It helped develop a certification system for farmers, gave incentive to farmers who used organic techniques, promoted the concept of organic farming through training and workshops, and provided financial assistance to farmers to enable them to build organic fertilizer processing equipment. Overall, the Indonesian government is involved in legal and economic reforms and has shown remarkable turnaround under President Yudhoyono, who has been in office since 2004. However, according to the World Bank's worldwide governance indicators for political stability and absence of violence, Indonesia was only in the 34th percentile as of 2011, versus that of the US, which is in the 78th percentile, and even higher in the 90th plus percentile prior to September 11th. So you're dealing with a very unpredictable environment in Indonesia. They currently have the largest population of Muslims, and with the recent protesting and rioting on U.S. embassies, the tourism industry is greatly affected. Tourism is one of the main supporters of organic rice farming in Indonesia, so it's not a good outcome for this industry. The Subak is a community of rice-growing associations who meet monthly under the Kilian Subak and decide issues on rice cultivation. They have the authority to grant or withhold permission for new rice terrace construction and are responsible for ensuring compliance with government regulation. Constructing organic rice farms in Indonesia can be very difficult if you're not hooked into this tight-knit social pipeline. It would be difficult for Oded Karmi, the owner of Sari Organic, if developing a franchise system because it would take time in order to get the organic farmers up and running.
Carefully carved out rice terraces in Bali mean a lot more than pictures for beautiful postcards. Nearly 1,000 years ago, farmers created a subak irrigation system that is still being used today. It's based on the Balinese philosophy of Trihita Karana, the relationship between God, man and nature.
In the Balinese society, subaks are the main irrigation unit used. It connects terraced rice paddies that run in and around Bali in order to effectively transport water. They were built around water temples with the local priests in charge of water allocation. They aim to make sure that water is evenly distributed among farms. These organizations are considered the foundation of society in Bali in relation with the Banjar, the community system. In this social unit, members all have equal rights regardless of their social status. It has allowed the farmers to be more successful at rice cultivation in the region. The Balinese Subak is a world-famous site and has been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site to acknowledge its cultural significance in the region. Poverty is a growing problem in Indonesian society. Reports show that 50% of the Indonesian population falls under the nation's poverty rating, and many more are only slightly above it. Since Indonesia has various different types of areas, they classify poverty into urban and rural. Bali falls under the rural marker as it has more farms and agricultural features. Studies show that poverty has increased in rural areas quicker than it has in urban areas. These areas are subject to shock in terms of increased pricing for food and necessary goods, which may push them over the poverty line. This is a growing problem. Indonesia is plagued by many environmental factors not limited to severe droughts and flooding. Since they fall on the equator, they do not have the traditional year with 4 seasons, but a year with only 2. The 2 seasons are known as the wet and the dry season. During the wet season, the areas can experience sudden downpours or constant days of rain. This can lead to floods in low-lying areas, which can overwater crops and destroy them completely. During the dry season, areas can experience extreme droughts, which can be detrimental to rice growth. Since rice is grown in water, When the water evaporates, more problems arise. Thankfully, with the help of irrigation systems, the Balinese farmers were able to help protect their crops. This country is also plagued by environmental disasters as well. Indonesia can experience volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and tsunamis. In 2004, Indonesia was devastated by the Boxing Day tsunami. This earthquake and ensuing tidal wave wiped out areas of Bali and led to more devastating consequences. The damage from this was severe and took years to recover. The water destroyed sewage systems and carried waste into the fields, killing the biodiversity among the plants growing there. In addition, the storm also caused chemical runoff from industrial areas. These chemicals ran into fields, destroying plants, but also permeating into the ground and damaging the groundwater. Farming can be a profitable occupation in some areas of Indonesia. This is not a very well-respected profession, though. Farming is looked down upon within society, and many people do not strive to become farmers. It is seen as a dirty profession, and many do not want to continue any family businesses in this area. The Banjar is a social unit within Indonesia. It is similar to what we in the United States would consider a suburb. The Banjar contains both temples with religious guidance and organizations with civil governance. The units that have control within the Banjar are couples, with only the males in the relationship making decisions. All final decisions, however, are made by the head civilian and head religious leader in the Banjar and strictly followed. Contracts and agreements in Indonesia tend to be much less detailed and contain much more unwritten text, relying upon the context in which the agreement was made. Much more emphasis is placed upon the flexibility. Contracts are softer and rely upon mutual understanding of the discourse that occurred between the parties over a period of time, and the trust and interdependency that has built up between them.
The decision we decided upon through our research on Indonesia is to do a joint venture with other farmers. The Indonesian culture is heavily based on collectivism, which means to come together as a community rather than individually. Many of our company's goals, as well as our mission statement, goes along with the Indonesian culture and philosophy of working together to promote unity among the community, as well as to promote health for the mind, body, and spirit. We believe that through joint venture, more ideas can be created, as well as more resources being utilized, and also shared risks. This will also set the standard for the Bali Organic Organization, which currently does not have standards set in place.